This is the restaurant where Luigi Mangione was arrested by police.
Have you all seen that attorney's theory about that CEO that was just unalived recently from UnitedHealth?
And maybe it's fake news. I don't know. But have you seen the new stuff?
You guys, I finally cracked the code on the two crazy conspiracy theories that Luigi Mangione left for us to figure out, and I put it all together.
People have started connecting dots around the number 286.
So this is a Luigi update that I would have never expected that I would be bringing to you guys.
Diddy is furious.
In a world of shadows, the truth hides. They control the narrative, but here we uncover the hidden truths. Today, we dive into the untold mysteries that they don't want you to know. From the depths of classified files to the whispers of hidden agendas, we bring you the facts. Buckle up as we expose the concealed and unravel the enigmatic. This is Null Point.
Welcome back to Null Point, where we dive into the mysteries the mainstream won't touch. Today, we're unraveling the story of Luigi Mangione, the man accused of the shocking shooting of UnitedHealthcare's CEO. Is he a lone wolf, or could he be a Patsy caught in a web of lies? With questions swirling about the timeline of his escape, strange connections to the number 286, and a growing faction hailing him as a hero, this story is far from what it seems. Let's dig into the details and uncover the truth.
This is the restaurant where Luigi Mangione was arrested by police. He is accused of murdering UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione was spotted in the corner of a McDonald's, lowering his mask and holding what appeared to be a hash brown, dressed in winter clothing and wearing a beanie. On Monday, Mangione was reported by an employee at the McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, a city of about 40,000 residents, leading to his arrest. Subsequently, the restaurant received a flood of negative reviews online. One reviewer wrote, "This place has rats in the kitchen that'll make you sick, and your insurance won't cover it." On Tuesday, the man accused of killing the UnitedHealthcare CEO clashed with officers and shouted as he was brought to court, with new details emerging about his ambush motives. Mangione was carrying a handwritten document at the time of his arrest, expressing rage against what he described as parasitic health insurance companies and disdain for corporate greed and power. The United States has the most expensive healthcare system in the world, with corporate profits continuing to rise while our life expectancy sees no improvement.
Can you take this? Can you take one picture too? Can you take this? Okay. No worries. It's okay. Rest.
You have discovered some friends that Luigi Mangione traveled with in Thailand who have quite a few stories to tell.
Luigi was in Thailand, and these two guys from Germany met up with him. They actually just met in Thailand, and they hung out, and they traveled together for a week and a half. One of the interesting things was that they were all planning a day at the beach. Luigi, instead, went to a shooting range, and they found that really odd. And during the trip, Luigi was talking about this book that he was obsessed with. And this kind of gets to what this assassination was really about. Everybody thinks it's about health insurance. Luigi's gripe was over corporate greed. Health insurance was a symbol of it. And there were two books that he got obsessed with. One of them was written by an author in India. And Luigi wanted to buy 400 copies of the book to support the author. He was so obsessed with it. His credit card didn't go through, it got declined, but he was trying to buy 400 books. Not only that, he printed the book out, he annotated the book, and then he flew to India, met with the author to tell him how he could have made the book better. And there's an arrogance to that, but also an obsession.
Luigi Mangione had the world at his feet, a son of wealth and privilege. But the popular young man who gave the valedictorian speech at a prestigious private school is now in a prison cell, the suspect in the murder of the CEO that has transfixed America. How did a life of so much promise go so wrong? Mangione graduated in computer science from the Ivy League's University of Pennsylvania. But friends say his downward spiral began with a painful back problem so severe he could not have sexual relations. In 2023, he posted on Reddit about persistent back problems, including pain when he sat down, twitching leg muscles, and numbness in his groin and bladder. RJ Martin is one of his best friends.
He spoke a lot about knowing that he needed to have a surgery eventually, and that it was one of those things that kind of loomed over him.
In 2023, Mangione had surgery in which 4 pins were placed in his lower spine. We asked orthopedic surgeon Andrew Feldman to analyze the x-ray.
This gentleman obviously had a lower spine injury. It looks like that's where the trauma was.
Did his anger with the health insurance industry begin then? He dropped from site 6 months ago, ignoring pleas by worried family and friends to communicate with them. Relatives reported him missing to police on November 18th.
Hold on one second, Gary. Real quick.
UnitedHealthcare shooting, the shooting of the CEO. Can you give us your thoughts about that? And what do you make of the
Well,
reaction
I think
around
it's
the
terrible.
suspected shooter? Does that tell you anything about how people
I think
about
it's a
healthcare?
terrible thing. I think it's really terrible that some people seem to admire him, like him. And I was happy to see that it wasn't specific to this gentleman that was killed. It's just an overall sickness as opposed to a specific sickness. That was a terrible thing. It was cold-blooded, just a cold-blooded, horrible killing. And how people can like this guy is, that's a sickness, actually. That's really very bad. Especially the way it was done. It was so bad, right in the back. And very bad. Thing like that, you can't believe that some people, and maybe it's fake news, I don't know. It's hard to believe that that can even be thought of. But it seems that there's a certain appetite for him. I don't get it. Yeah, please.
An insult to the intelligence of the American people is what Luigi Mangione can be heard shouting as he enters court for an extradition hearing in Pennsylvania to face murder charges in New York. While the meaning of his outburst remains unclear, many on social media were already convinced of his innocence even before the dramatic statement.
FBI wants us to believe that this guy is the one who John Wicked the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. Luigi Mangione.
Listen, I'm not about conspiracy theories, far from it, but people are not this stupid. It's looking like he's a patsy, a fall guy. I feel like we live in a simulation, like a really weird Black Mirror episode.
The 26-year-old has been charged with second-degree murder in the Manhattan killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He also has 3 gun charges. Investigators say Mangione had a 3D printed pistol and silencer in his backpack, as well as multiple IDs and writings critical of the health insurance industry.
In America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a viewpoint.
On Monday, a McDonald's employee spotted Mangione eating at this restaurant and called police. This customer who was there says his companion also thought Mangione looked familiar.
He made a comment, "God, that looks like the shooter from New York." But I thought he was, the group of us, I thought it was more of a joke.
Many on social media were quick to post their thoughts on the person who turned him in.
I don't know much, but I do know that McDonald's employee that ratted out that shooter definitely gives you the correct amount of sauce packs as prescribed by corporate and charges you 25 cents when you ask for another one.
The McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania has also received negative reviews like this one. Rats everywhere. And I watched a nice gentleman get arrested while I scarfed down my Big Mac meal with large fries and a Diet Coke. I will never return. Meanwhile, Mangione's defense attorney has this to say.
You can't rush to judgment in this case or any case, because any one of you all, if you're charged with a crime or any of your family members or loved ones, you don't want anybody rushing to those judgments. So if you believe in America and that presumption of innocence, then you cannot rush to judgment.
Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
Now we know that Luigi is not the shooter for sure. Even beyond all the visible evidence, he doesn't look anything like the shooter. That's a totally different person. And bro wet his pants while he was in the back of the cop car. This is him standing in his cell. Like bro is in shock to what's happening to him. This is the reaction of somebody who's scared for their life because they don't know what's happening to them. But if you guys don't already know, Luigi actually comes from an extremely wealthy family. And he was set to inherit millions of dollars. Up to like $100 million. And this is all from his...
You wish you never ever met her at all. You wish you never ever met her at
A few weeks ago, I talked about the UnitedHealthcare unaliving formal complaint, where they said that the suspect left the hostel around 5:35 a.m. and made it to Midtown by about 5:41 a.m. And I said that because I live here and I know the route, 6 minutes would be impossible. This creator recreated the route. He left the hostel at 5:30 a.m. on an electric bike, and he was able to get to the area of the hotel within about 10 to 11 minutes. A lot of people looked up the path on Google Maps, and they saw that the ride would take anywhere between like 17 and 25 minutes. But here's the thing to realize about these maps. The timeline they give you is dependent on the time of day that you're doing the search, because it incorporates in things like traffic. When I went to ChatGPT and asked how long the ride would take at 5:30 a.m. using an electric bike, ChatGPT said it would take about 10 to 15 minutes. Formal complaints like this, they use words like approximately to avoid locking themselves into a certain time, because a lot of these CCTV cameras could be off by a couple of minutes. And we actually saw that in the photo where we see him walking with the phone. The timestamp actually says 7:29 a.m. when it was 6:29 a.m. I also learned that in DA Bragg's official statement, they have him in the area of the hotel at 5:52 a.m. So now it appears the timeline is actually, he left around 5:35 and he was in the area between 5:41 and 5:52, which tracks.
The timeline of Luigi Mangione's escape doesn't add up. Are we missing pieces, or is there something bigger at play?
Have you all seen that attorney's theory about that CEO that was just unalived recently from UnitedHealth? He makes so much sense to me. He said he's been practicing law for 39 years. His theory is the spouse is always like prime suspect until they're not anymore. And the fact that this guy knew, like, the CEO's schedule, was so cautious as to use like a silencer. He knew how to use a weapon. He didn't let his face get shown. And he just like totally like walked away from the scene, didn't run. It didn't seem like a rage unaliving to him. It was more like he knew what he was doing. His theory is he hired somebody to pose at different places like Starbucks and whatever to have his face be shown to throw the police off the course. So that is one theory to look at, and I totally believe it now and understand this. And coming from somebody that's been practicing law for 39 years, I completely think he's onto something here. So what do you all think of this? I will tag this creator below so that you can hear his full story on how he thinks this, but I really think he's onto something. The spouse, until it's not anymore.
Speaking of getting shot, UnitedHealthcare.
You see this?
Yeah.
But have you seen the new stuff?
With the bullets?
They think they got the guy.
So, explain the whole situation.
So basically, there's this giant conference, a healthcare conference. For some reason, this guy didn't have security. Someone had the timing, waited on the corner all day. The guy walks by, bang, bang, pull the bolts out. They have words on them.
Depose, defy,
delay. Probably the process of going through your insurance. So there's all these great researchers. I forget the name of her account. She finds a guy who is like, I can track his city bike.
Yeah.
Turns out the assassin is the guy that tracked the city bike. Data.
What?
That just came out. Because they see him at Starbucks, which is the most Generation Z assassin, is going to Starbucks first, grabbing a latte, then going and shoot somebody.
I'm going to kill somebody without caffeine? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, yeah, the fact that it's outside the building, you know those people still had to go into
there's no lockdown. There's no, like, let's reschedule it.
They walked past it.
They stepped over him.
Yeah, like, that's crazy.
They probably made jokes. Coverage did not.
Could Luigi Mangione be the perfect scapegoat in a meticulously crafted cover-up?
You guys, I finally cracked the code on the 2 crazy conspiracy theories that Luigi Mangione left for us to figure out, and I put it all together. The theory about the Monopoly money in the bag and the theory about the number 286 connect, and I found out what he was trying to tell us. If you need a reminder, on December 4th, a masked man shot at point-blank range UnitedHealthcare Group CEO Brian Thompson, unaliving him. And surprisingly, very rich Ivy League valedictorian genius Luigi Mangione was detained for the crime, but not before leaving behind a weird trail of hints for us. First, like some cartoonish villain, he left behind a backpack filled with Monopoly money. Why point our direction to Monopoly? He also made sure his social medias were carefully left in place to be investigated, almost like a crime scene. His Twitter header was a random Pokemon, a photo of his back surgery that went terrible, and maybe a photo of his athletic life that the healthcare system took away from him. Now pay attention to how many times the numbers 286 appear. Pokemon have numbers, and Burloom is Pokemon number 286. And Burloom is nobody's favorite Pokemon. No one would have that in their header. How many posts does he have on his Twitter? 286. A few days later, Luigi was eventually caught in a McDonald's exactly 286 miles away from the crime scene. But why go so far? Because he allegedly fled from New York City on Highway 286 to Pennsylvania. But why 286? Because he wants to bring attention to Insurance Denial Code 286, which basically talks about when an insurance claim is denied by a healthcare group and never appealed in time so the patient suffers. Even Proverb 286 says, better a poor man who walk in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. National Insurance Day is even the 20th day of June. But here's the craziest part, you guys. I was investigating, trying to figure out how the number 286 connects to Monopoly. So I blatantly asked ChatGPT, and they said the total number of items sold in a Monopoly box for you to be able to play the game is added up to 286 pieces. What? And the total number of blocks in that game is 286. And if we look closer at this Monopoly board, do you remember how we went from New York to Highway 286 to Pennsylvania and then to jail? On this specific side of the Monopoly board, that is the exact route he took. New York, Pennsylvania, jail. So myself, along with a lot of people, think he went to jail on purpose, and I think the rest of the board could be clues for other people playing, because as the quote goes, no one plays Monopoly alone. How do we know who he's playing with or colluding with on this crime? Guess the specific number of people his cousin is following on Twitter. Nino Mangione is following 286 people. Will he be his get out of jail free card? I feel like there's more to all of this. This means something, and I'll keep further investigating, so follow along for more of this conspiracy.
People have started connecting dots around the number 286. On his Twitter banner, he had a picture of Burloom, Pokemon hash 286. At the time his account got deleted, he had exactly 286 tweets. And where was he arrested? Altoona, 286 miles from the crime scene. And get this, 286 is also a healthcare denial code, meaning a claim was rejected because the appeal time limit wasn't met. If that's not the most niche but unhinged Easter egg, I don't know what is.
What's the mysterious connection between Luigi Mangione and the number 286? A hidden code or pure coincidence?
So this is a Luigi update that I would have never expected that I would be bringing to you guys. As a lot of y'all are aware, Diddy and Luigi are in the same prison, the Brooklyn MDC. Now the two have not crossed paths yet. I'm sure that will happen. But apparently Diddy has been, quote, throwing tantrums and is very jealous and upset and raging because the inmates like Luigi so much better than him and are treating Luigi more of a celebrity than Diddy, who is an actual celebrity even in prison, denies ego's huge. Now my understanding is that the times that
I called it the crossover of the century in the MDC. To give you guys some background, it claimed that Diddy is furious that Luigi Mangione, who's accused of killing the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, they're housed in the same MDC, in the same prison. And apparently Luigi is beloved by all the inmates, and Diddy's getting so much hate. Luigi allegedly shot someone, killed someone on camera, whereas Diddy claims that he's completely innocent, and yet he's being treated poorly.
It's also worth noting here that Diddy and Mangione share a legal team, but however, the story went on to say that they have not crossed paths in prison. And as a point of order, Mangione has pled not guilty to multiple counts of murder, including murder as an act of terrorism. Diddy is, of course, facing federal criminal charges in sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. He's alleged to have orchestrated a long-running scheme involving sexual abuse and exploitation. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all the accusations, and both he and his legal team have repeatedly and strongly asserted his innocence.
These are two of the biggest crime stories going on right now. And the fact that, one, they share a legal team, two, they're sharing a prison. Now they're both in the headlines. You know, one's jealous of another. Like, it's just, you can't make this stuff up, Marge.
It seems Diddy's not thrilled about Luigi stealing the spotlight behind bars. As the dust settles on this puzzling case, one thing is clear. The story of Luigi Mangione is anything but ordinary. Whether he's a scapegoat in a larger conspiracy or an unexpected symbol for those challenging the system, the questions surrounding this case demand answers. What do you think? Is there more to the story than we're being told? Share your thoughts in the comments, and as always, stay curious and question everything. Until next time, this has been Null Point.
If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Stay curious and question everything. Until next time, we'll see you at the Null Point.